What it do, YouTube? MJ for Life here, back again, here to talk about the new Pokemon that was released, or revealed, sorry. First of all, I'm very, very sick. I don't know if you can tell, but sorry if I sound very terrible. Um, but so much excitement, I just had to talk about it with my viewers, um, and give my opinion on what I think is going on. But I'm not here to talk about. Basically this video, unlike the other videos that are the millions of videos that are about this Pokemon, it's more about the competitive aspect of this Pokemon, how it's going to affect the game, and what it basically. I'm basically going to talk about what its base stats are going to be. Just a speculation, but I'll give my brief opinion about the Pokemon itself. Obviously, people are calling it Mewthree. It was released a lot, or it was talked about being a new form of Mewtwo, but when the creators of the game actually released the Pokemon, they released it under the title a new Pokemon with a familiar look. And I'm in that boat that this Pokemon is not a new form of Mewtwo. It's just a separate Pokemon altogether. Kind of how Mew and Mewtwo are related, but they're not the same Pokemon. Like Mew doesn't evolve into Mewtwo. I feel like this is a similar concept. So it'll be Mew, Mewtwo, and I'm going to call it Mewthree because I don't know what else to call it. So they're three separate Pokemon, but they're all related. Now, how is this Pokemon related to Mew and Mewtwo? Well, you've got the Pokemon Genesect, right, which is a Pokemon that Team Plasma tried to create. And I feel like Mewthree is in that similar boat. So basically, I'm assuming, or this is my belief about the Pokemon, is that it's going to be like Team Plasma's attempts to combine Mew and Mewtwo's powers to create and to create a new Pokemon. And this is the Pokemon that they created as a result of trying to combine two very powerful psychic Pokemon together. Hence the smaller size, more Mew-like in its size, but more Mewtwo-like in its appearance and form. So, with that being said, all that I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be under the assumption that this is a separate Pokemon that is an attempt to combine Mew and Mewtwo together. Now, if it's actually that case, or maybe it is a new form of Mewtwo, although personally I don't think that it is. I think it's separate, but it's related. I really think personally that having a new form of Mewtwo really doesn't make much sense. It's my personal opinion that doesn't make any sense at all for them to do it that way. I feel like having a separate Pokemon that's related to Mew and Mewtwo makes a little bit more sense. But anyway, so I'm going to go under the assumption that it is, in fact, an attempt to combine Mew and Mewtwo together, and that's what all my opinions are going to be based off of. So we'll get into what I think. So, first of all, as I just said, I believe that it's a combination of Mew and Mewtwo. Now, what does that mean exactly? That opens up a number of possibilities. First of all, if it is a combination of Mew and Mewtwo, then there's a chance that it will have the characteristics of both Pokemon, obviously. But what characteristics of both Pokemon will it have? Obviously, Mew has a very unique characteristic in that it can learn every single move in the game. If it's a TM, it can learn it. So it has an incredibly vast move pool and incredibly limitless options almost as far as what Mew can actually do. And if this Pokemon since this Pokemon being a combination of the two, it might have that characteristic transferred over to it. So maybe we might have another Pokemon in the game that can learn every move via TM, which would open up a number of possibilities for this Pokemon as well as for Mew. Although people only use like 3 sets of Mew, even though it can learn every single move. But this Pokemon might share that ability if it is a combination of Mew and Mewtwo. Now, for the Mewtwo side, obviously Mewtwo is extremely powerful. It has 154 base special attack. So if this Pokemon is going to be a combination of Mew and Mewtwo, maybe this Pokemon is more powerful. Is more powerful than Mewtwo. Or stronger and faster than Mewtwo. If it's people trying to create a more powerful version of Mewtwo, this Pokemon might have even more special attack and even more speed. I think Mewtwo has 130 base speed, so it may be even faster than Mewtwo. So there's the potential for this Pokemon to be more powerful than Mewtwo and faster than Mewtwo, as well as being able to learn every single move, which would completely destroy the Uber's metagame, because obviously this thing would be Uber if that were the case. We're talking about a special attacker that's can outspeed almost every Pokemon. I think only Deoxys would be able to outspeed it. I mean, that's kind of the feel that I'm getting from this Pokemon. Is it's probably going to be on par with Deoxys' attack as far as special attack is concerned. Um, or it could be, who knows? It could maybe have more Mew characteristics with Mewtwo attack strength, or more Mewtwo characteristics with Mew uniqueness and versatility. And that's the question: is it going to be more like Mew, or is it going to be more like Mewtwo? And obviously, with its appearance, you would get the hint that it's more like Mewtwo than with Mew. But obviously, we don't know. As we do know, though, Mew's base stats is 600, so maybe it's. So if it's going to be more like Mew, obviously it would probably have a lower base stat number, because Mewtwo's base stat is 680, which I think is like second highest or third highest. I mean, it's top 4 at least. Because I know Arceus is obviously the highest with 720, and I don't know if there's a Pokemon that has more than that. I didn't exactly. I'm pretty sure, but it's 680. Long story short, is pretty high as far as Pokemon go. So is it going to be more like Mewtwo or more like Mew is the question. So with that, I've actually created some sample base stats that I feel like might be plausible for this Pokemon. Once again, going under the assumption that it is a combination of both Mew and Mewtwo, or an attempt to combine the two Pokemon together. So, if it were going to be more like Mew, obviously Mew has the characteristic of having 100 spread across his entire stats, which isn't exactly unique. But if it was going to go the Mew route and be more like Mew, then maybe it'd have something like 110 across the board. Be stronger than Mew. So the Mewtwo aspect that is a little bit more powerful, but to have the Mew aspect to where its base stats are spread across the board, or maybe that 110, or maybe even maybe a little bit lower, like 105, 108, something in there, 105 to 110 range. I doubt that they'll make any Pokemon with 120 across the board, because that's Arceus, and it is my personal opinion that Arceus is the best Pokemon, and I doubt that they would make anything that would be Arceus-like, because Arceus is supposed to be the god of all Pokemon, quote unquote. So I mean, in reality, it should be the best Pokemon. So I mean, now that I look at it, 110 seems kind of high. So maybe like 105 or 108, or something in between there. But still, just some base stat that's over 100 that's spread across all of its stats. I feel like it can go that route. Or another route is, again, being more like Mew, have the 600 base stat, but then more like Mewtwo in that its attack and speed are higher. So I have a sample more like Mewtwo-esque stats here. So HP being at 70, attack, which is lower than 100, obviously. Attack being at 80, which is a little bit lower. Defense and special defense being at 70, again, a little bit lower. But special attack being at 170 and speed being at 140. So that would make this Pokemon extremely strong, extremely fast, but still have the constraints of having the 600 base stat cap on it. So in order to be that strong and that fast, it'll have to sacrifice some other areas. Now, this Pokemon being small, kind of hints itself towards being faster and more fragile than than a bigger Pokemon would be. But obviously Mew is extremely small, but it has 100 base stats spread across the board. So just because it's a small Pokemon doesn't mean it won't be able to take hits, as Mew and Celebi, Jirachi, Pokemon like that kind of prove that point. So making a Pokemon's HP and defenses lower may not be what Game Freak may be going for, but it's potential. If they're going to make it stronger and faster, then obviously something has to go down if we're going to go into the 600 base stat cap that Mew has. Again, this is assuming that the Pokemon is going to be more like Mew. Now, if the Pokemon is going to be more like Mewtwo, with some Mew characteristics, maybe being able to learn every single move as far as a Mew characteristic, or just having an even wider move pool. If it was going to be more of the Mewtwo at the route, then 680 base stat cap as well. So 100 HP, which is a little bit lower than Mewtwo's. Mewtwo's is 106, I believe. 100 attack. Mewtwo has 110, so that's a little bit lower. 65 defense, 65 special defense, so low defenses, because Mewtwo's defenses are, I believe, 90, but 200 special attack and 150 speed. So then, again, extremely fast, extremely powerful. I believe that's going to be, I think that's just going to be this Pokemon's MO, regardless of how they decide to distribute the rest of its stats. I believe it's going to be extremely fast, extremely powerful. I feel like it just has that feel to it. It has that look towards it, and the fact that it's associated with Mewtwo means it has to be extremely fast and extremely powerful because Mewtwo is extremely fast and extremely powerful. But since this Pokemon is a either a combination of Mew and Mewtwo or maybe even a new form of Mewtwo, I feel like it has to be faster and stronger than Mewtwo. Otherwise, there's no point in even putting it in the game, in my opinion. These are just some sample base stats that I've come up with. Again, I do have the defenses and special defenses lower, and that's supposed to be a period instead of a comma. Didn't even catch that. But I have them lower because I feel like, again, if you're going to make it faster and stronger, something has to take a hit and go down because of that. And this Pokemon does look kind of frail. It looks kind of fragile, It has the, it kind of looks like Kid Buu, although Kid Buu wasn't fragile in any sense of the imagination. But it just looks fragile as far as defense. It doesn't look like if you punched it, it would just fall and break in half. But it looks like you wouldn't even be able to get the chance to punch it because it's just too strong, too fast for you. But I just have a feeling that it's going to have lower defenses. That just to me makes a little bit more sense as in order to increase its speed and special attack. But the thing that I had that all these moves, all these base stats have in common is that it's extremely fast, extremely powerful, as I've said before. And I feel like what's really the question about this Pokemon is what exactly are its stats going to be, and then what moves will it be able to have? Because Mewtwo has a very unique move pool as well. It has it gets moves like Bulk Up, Calm Mind, it gets Flamethrower, Drain Punch. It gets a lot of different moves. So this Pokemon is going to have access to a bunch of moves. Whether it's more like Mew or Mewtwo, doesn't really matter. It's going to have unique move pool or a pretty big move pool either way, but. If it was more like Mew and it can learn every move, that would make it even better than Mewtwo, especially if it's going to be faster and stronger. This could be the ultimate Mew form, period. But there's a lot of questions about this Pokemon, and more. There's more to come when Game Freak decides to release more information about Pokemon X and Y. We'll say Black and White. But I think this is very interesting. I really feel like. This whole new Mewtwo thing can go either one of two ways. Either it can be extremely cool or extremely stupid. I feel like it has the potential to be both. And I really feel like if it's a Mewtwo form, I feel like that's stupid. I just personally don't like the idea of a new Mewtwo form. I'm more leaning towards it being a combination of the two Pokemon and being its own separate entity. And I really feel like the developers of the game are trying to get that hint across that it's a separate Pokemon with a familiar look. So it's in the same family or it's related to these Pokemon, but it's its own thing. And I really feel like that would make a little bit more sense than having it be a new Mewtwo form. But only time will tell. But tell me what you guys think about this Pokemon. What are your hopes for the Pokemon? What do you think it's most likely going to be? And leave all your comments. I'd like to hear about it. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. And that's going to be it. So I'm going to be out of here. I'm about to go to sleep. I'm very, very tired. But that's it for me. I'm out of here. Deuces.